Okay, now we're going to get to solving problems with quadratics. But before we do that, I want to back up just a little bit. All we're going to do is we're going to take things that we had already factored and we're just going to write equals 0 next to them, okay? So what this means is x times x plus 3 is going to equal 0. Well, here's the deal. If I take anything and I multiply it by 0, it's going to be 0. So if I take this right there and that's 0, I don't even care what that is. That could be 20, negative 16, a billion. I don't even care because that's 0. I'm going to get a correct answer. Okay? So I'm just going to write x equals 0. Cool. As long as x equals 0, I win. However, there's another solution here as well. Because if this whole thing equals 0, then I don't care what that is. That can be whatever we want it to be. But as long as this right here equals 0, I'm going to win. So I'm just going to write right here, x plus 3 equals 0. I'll put a little comma in between them. Now this is done. Can't do anything more with that, right? Okay, but here, I'm just going to solve by subtracting 3. Got to get a better pen going on here. X equals negative 3. So my solution is 0 and negative 3. Okay, either one of these will work. So what you're going to find out is, especially when we're doing quadratics, now the next one's not going to be one, but when we solve quadratics, you'll often get 2 answers, okay? You won't get 3, sometimes you'll get 1, sometimes you could get none, okay? But you can get up to 2 answers when you're doing quadratics. And if you notice, if you plug in negative 3, you'll get negative 3 times 0, which is 0. If you plug in 0, you get 0 times 3, which is 0. So that's why both of them work. Now, we talked about factoring. Now, this is just a very basic factoring. I'm just going to pull out a 3, and I'm left with an x minus 5 equals 0. Okay, so now, I've got that 3. Do I worry about it? I don't worry about it. I don't even pretend it's there. And I'm just going to write x minus 5 equals 0. I'm going to add 5 to both sides. Boom, die. X equals 5. And if you notice, if I plug in a 5 there, I get 15 minus 15 equals 0, so it works. So if you have a constant, if you pull out a constant, you can always just ignore that. Now, let's do one with factoring that's more of a quadratic. Let me clean up the board real quick. Okay, I just have the 1 right here on the board, and then what I'm going to do is I have worksheets. You can find all these online. Again, this is all at maxtutorials.com, and do the worksheets. I'm going to do them one by one, and you can do them with me, and I'll help you to learn this. So the first thing is what's the same. Now remember, we talked about factoring in the last section, and I can pull out of this, I can pull out a 9, and I can pull out an x. What's left over? If I pull a 9x out, I'm left with an x minus 5. And I apologize, I meant to write an equals 0 on that. So this is why they are different. So now you look at factors. If you have factors that equal 0, that means that that factor can equal 0, and then I get 0 times whatever, and that can equal 0, then I get 0 times whatever, and I'm going to get 0. So I write it twice, and I'm going to go right over here, so I can stand here, and I'm going to write 9x equals 0, and I'm going to write x minus 5 equals 0. When I do that, if I divide each side by 9, you're going to get x equals 0. And you can start learning now that whenever you have something times x equals 0, it's just going to be 0. Okay, you don't even really need to do the division step, but it's there to help you. And then here we want to add 5 to both sides. And that'll give me x equals 5. So when you look at your answer, like if this were a multiple choice, 0, 5 would be the answer. Okay, and it would be both of those. So that, my friends, is just a real basic on how we would solve quadratics by factoring them out. We have other ways of doing them, but let's just stop right here. You can probably see where it's going next, but let's wait for the next video. Right now, just do a bunch of factoring and do a bunch of solving, and I'll see you on those videos.